Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. This video is going to be a devlog, and I'm going to show you some of the UI changes that I've been making in the 1.21.4 version of the mod. This is upcoming and probably won't end up in 4.0, but in 4.1 or other versions above that. So let me go into my test world right here and start with the dashboard. When I open up my dashboard, you can see that the map has changed quite a bit. Even though this is all grass down here, it now shows the correct biome colors and even shows a little bit of contours, like where the blocks are higher and lower. The rendering is more similar to Square Maps rendering, for example, and it's not just flat colors. It actually shows a little bit of elevation, kind of. I'm going to go back to my Superflat testing world and show you how the dashboard looks in there as well. You notice that because I visited these chunks in the past, the map over here loads as well as the area that I'm in. So it's not just the area around you that's being rendered that is shown on the dashboard. Other places that you've visited will also render now, sort of like how Journey Map works. You can see that the station areas have changed as well. When I hover over it with the mouse, they highlight. And if I click on an area, it will ask me which station I want to edit. If I just click on here, it will just show this station. If I click on both stations, it will ask me which one I want to edit, delete, resize, and so on. For the platforms, it's also the same thing, but because there's only one platform in this square, when I click it, it brings me right to the platform edit screen as well. However, I think I have a stack platform over here. If the platforms are stacked, then it's going to ask me which one to edit. So that's the map portion of the dashboard. We also have the online system map shortcut, the resource pack editor, settings, and then zoom in and zoom out. I'm probably going to add tooltips to this so people aren't just guessing what these buttons are. Over here, the tab panel looks a little bit similar to before. Although the routes menu, we have these routes grouped together now. So if you have a variation of a route, they will get grouped underneath each of the parent, and then you can also expand all and collapse all. So for example, if you have 5 route variants for single track north, they'll all be grouped underneath here. Right now, each of these routes only have one variation, so there's only one child item for each of these parents. Okay, so let me show you what has changed for the individual edit screens. So let's start with the station edit screen. So I'm going to click on test 1 ABCD and then edit the station. You can now click on the map right here to edit the station, or you can go back to the stations tab and click the edit button here. It's going to bring you to the same screen. So the UI has changed in here as well. We've got the station name, fare zones now support 3 dimensions. This support has been added to the transport simulation core, but I've never actually brought it to the UI, so I guess now's the time. And then we have the new color edit screen as well. We can kind of preview a different color, even choose a random color. And if I don't like the color, I can just close without saving, or I can just reset to go back to the original color and then save that as well. We have the station exit menu down here. You see I've added quite a few for testing. They are also grouped under the same exit name. So for example, this is exit 5A. This is exit C5 with 2 destinations. So for example, exit C4 has this exit destination. If I want to add another station exit for C4 with the destination test, then I can add it right here and it will appear under C4. And then these are also all collapsible as well. Okay, let's say that I made a change right here. So let's say, oh, I accidentally typed a bad fare zone here and I want to undo that change, reset it to how the station originally was set up. I can click the reset button and it'll reset all the text boxes, all the fields to what the station was saved as. All right. Let's check out the platform edit screen. If I click on this, it will bring up the screen showing me the routes currently at the platform number, vehicle dwell time. I know there's a suggestion that came up to combine the slider with a text box that I can input. I am thinking about how to implement that. So that is definitely a possibility, having a slider right next to a text box that is linked together so you can either slide this or type in a custom number that you want. I'm going to reset this because I don't want to make any changes to this platform. And then let's head over to the depots tab. Now we can see our different depots that show up. Also, one thing that I forgot to mention is that if you are zoomed into a station, wherever you move the screen, the name of the station or depot will try to show up as much as possible when you move the box around, which is kind of cool, like this. Okay, anyway, I'm going to edit this depot now. I can click on it here, click edit. And then we show the refresh information up here. And then all the same buttons are here. I think this looks a little bit messy. I don't know how I can improve this. The sliders here are the same as before. I can toggle between Minecraft time and real time like this. And then I can also add my real-time departures. So starting at 4 a.m. with 3 arrivals 3 minutes apart, add departure. And so here are my arrivals. And then I can delete them as normal. Okay, I don't want to save this, so I'm just going to reset it. Okay, so I know that this depot screen looks kind of dark, and I don't know. I feel like it doesn't look great, but it's not terrible either. It's not as squished as the old one because of the scrolling. But yeah, I don't know what I think about this. Alright, I am going to go into here. This is the siding menu. And then with all the same controls and the sliders as well. If I click on drivable vehicle, we've got some extra settings here as well. And then selected vehicle, I can choose the different vehicles that will appear in my siding. This has seen the most changes, I feel like. So all the vehicles have been grouped under the same parent, and I can expand each of them to see which vehicles I can add to my siding. So the ones that can't be added has an exclamation mark, just like before. And if all the vehicles under the group cannot be added, then an exclamation will be shown for the parent. So the way the parenting works, the game doesn't just guess the parent. So I've introduced this new concept for tags. So resource pack authors can also refer to this in the future. And I'll add more documentation to this. So for example, this is my MLR mini trailer for the core mod. You see that there's a section called tags. If I do tag name : tag value, then the dashboard will pick that up. For example, family is MLR. So if I take a look at the train above, family is also MLR up here. ISO 3166 is basically the 2-digit country code, and then the number of doors and the type. You can have custom tags as well. For example, if I want a tag name called custom test, then the filters here will have a new one called custom, and then you can filter by the trains with the test tag in it. Okay, so let's take a look at our tags here again for the MLR train. We've got family, ISO 3166, door, type, and not this one. Yeah, so family, ISO 3166 doors and type, which is what we see here. These are automatically pulled from the JSON file. So by default, the available trains are grouped by this family tag, and then all the other tags need to be filtered on this side. So if I go to the doors, and I just want to show trains tagged with 2 doors, I can click on this. You see the filter is now turned on. If I collapse this, it shows that there's 1 filter enabled for doors. And so it's now going to show all the trains with 2 doors, which is the R train minis, E44 smalls, MLR minis, and so on. So that's good. But I also want to show the ones with 4 doors. We've got the minis and smalls for these. You get the idea. I can also delete one of my filters, and it'll only show the 4-door trains. And then if I want to add another filter, for example, I want to only show K trains with 4 doors. Yes, because I have a doors filter for 4, family filter for K train. So the only matching ones are this. Then I want to filter it down, type to cab 1. So there's my only available train. Although I can't add it to this siding because it's too long. But this is how the filter works. I know this UI isn't very good right now. So like the filter tags section is not very good, so I might rework this. But in terms of the general idea, this is how the vehicle selection is going to work. These are from custom resource packs, and you notice that they don't have parents to it. So these are all parented under the tag, but these ones aren't, because these ones didn't come with the family tag. Which is okay, they'll just appear just ungrouped like this. Let me show you another siding that is actually a little bit longer. For example, this one. You can see my selected trains here. I can move them up or down just like before. Delete some of them, and then I can try to... I guess my siding is full right now. I can try to add some things to my siding, and then as we add them, they will turn into exclamation marks as my siding gets filled up. But now you can also continue adding stuff even if the siding is full, and it's going to show up like this. And then if I move this car up, well, that car is too long. But if I keep moving it up, then you can see different ones become exclamation marks depending on where they are positioned. So let's say you're still working on your train group and you want to add something as a placeholder and then move it around later to figure out which cars you want before you save it. You can also do that, and it doesn't prevent you from adding it. Although once you exit the menu, you can see that the extra cars, like for example that New York subway train that was supposed to be on the siding but it overruns the siding, it's not going to get added. It's just going to be deleted. So when I come back here, you see that it's gone. So you can add trains that overflow the siding as long as you're still in the screen, but once you exit the screen, those extra ones will be deleted. Alright, so that's the siding screen. Let's see if there's any more things to show off. I think that's it. So yeah, I think that's about it for this video. Let me know if you have any feedback about the new UI. A lot of things aren't final yet because I know that, I don't know, some of the screens don't look the way that I want them to, so I'm still working on it. And I know some upcoming big changes that I mentioned in the last video include AI passengers and manual driving reworks. So those are still on the horizon, but I just want to get the UI out of the way because I feel like for people to have a positive perception of the mod, the screens need to look professional. It can't be just some random Minecrafty buttons slapped together. user experience matters in the perception of this mod. So that's why I'm working on this right now. And this game still lags with so many vehicles being rendered, so I'm going to be working on that as well. So lots of things on the horizon. I have no promises for a timeline because all these things take time and I also have a full-time job. So I really appreciate your patience and your support. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps me out and helps the channel out. And like this video if you enjoyed it and let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!